My girlfriend said. My ex-boyfriend is moving in for a few weeks. Deal with it. I smiled and said, make him comfortable. Then I moved all my stuff into storage and ended the lease. She and her ex-boyfriend now have to find a new place and explain why to the landlord. The smell of rosemary and garlic filled our tiny kitchen. I was trying a new recipe, chicken thighs braised with lemon and olives. I had the music low, some jazz station playing softly through the speaker. Cooking always helped me clear my head, especially after editing photos for 8 hours straight. I was plating the chicken when Emma walked in. She was wearing those soft leggings she always lounged in after her yoga classes and had her phone in hand, thumb scrolling like always. She looked relaxed. Too relaxed. Oh, hey, she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. So, I told Mark he could crash with us for a bit. He's going through some stuff, and he needs a place. I froze, spoon midair, and stared at her. Mark? As in your ex? She didn't even glance up. Yeah, he lost his job and his roommate bailed on the lease. It's just for a couple of weeks. Maybe 3. I set the spoon down slowly, trying to stay calm. Where exactly is he supposed to sleep? She shrugged, still scrolling. Couch. It's fine. He doesn't need much. And I already told him yes, so. I blinked. You already told him yes? She looked up, finally, and gave me that look, the one that said I was being dramatic. Come on, Liam. Don't make this a thing. You're always saying how people need support when they're down. That was before you volunteered our apartment, I said quietly. The spare room is my studio, Emma. That's where I work. He'll be on the couch, she repeated. Your gear's in your room half the time anyway. I could feel the heat behind my eyes. Not anger exactly, but that tight burn that comes when someone casually walks over your boundaries without even noticing. Or worse, when they notice and just don't care. I turned back to the stove, gave the sauce another stir, then said in the calmest voice I could manage, sure. Let's make him comfortable. Emma didn't notice the pause. She was already back on her phone, probably texting Mark or checking Instagram. I didn't say another word. I just plated the food, nodded when she said thanks, and smiled when she asked if we still had wine. But inside, I wasn't calm. Not even close. Because if she thought I was going to just sit here while her ex-boyfriend lived in our apartment like it was some sitcom setup, she was wrong. If she thought I was going to keep playing the accommodating boyfriend while she made major decisions without even asking me, she had another thing coming. She could make him comfortable all she wanted. I'd make sure of it. But it wasn't going to be the kind of comfort she imagined. That night, after Emma fell asleep, I lay there staring at the ceiling while the soft hum of our air purifier filled the silence. I could hear the occasional buzz of her phone on the nightstand. Probably more text from Mark. The same guy who used to make passive-aggressive jokes about me being the artsy rebound. Now he'd be crashing on my couch like this was a college dorm. I got out of bed quietly and padded into the living room, careful not to wake her. I opened my laptop and logged into our building's tenant portal. The light from the screen cast sharp shadows across the half-packed camera bags by the wall. I had just wrapped up a wedding shoot and hadn't even had time to fully organize the files. I clicked through the lease agreement. It was buried in the fine print, but I found it, Clause 14, no guests exceeding 7 consecutive nights without prior written approval from property management. My eyes scanned it twice. Then I scrolled down further. Clause 22, either party may terminate lease with 30 days written notice. That was it. That was all I needed. I opened a new tab and searched for local moving companies. Most were closed for the night, but a few had scheduling forms online. I submitted an inquiry with one that offered same-week service. Then I browsed storage facilities. Found a climate-controlled unit 5 blocks away. Reserved it. Every step felt deliberate. Surgical. I wasn't doing this out of spite. This was control. This was me reclaiming the space I had spent 2 years building, the apartment I turned into a home, not just for us, but for myself. The one I had filled with my custom-built desk, my espresso machine, the plants I'd kept alive since college. All of it had been mine before she decided to offer it to someone else like it was a spare Airbnb. I stared at the screen a little longer. My hand hovered over the trackpad before I finally shut the laptop. Let Mark have the couch. I'd give him the whole living room if he wanted. Hell, I'd give him a clear view of the echo those walls would carry once I was gone. Mark was scheduled to arrive at 10 in the morning. That was the time Emma had casually mentioned the night before, like she was talking about an Amazon package, not her ex-boyfriend moving into our apartment. So I made sure the movers were parked outside by 9:45. The lead guy's name was Daryl, polite, efficient, and not one to ask questions. Just the kind I needed. He nodded as I pointed around the apartment, clipboard in hand. Everything that's mine. Furniture, kitchen stuff, plants, all the gear in the spare room. Everything. Emma was still at her morning yoga class. It was always her favorite session of the week, restorative flow followed by a juice from that overpriced place on 3rd. She'd be gone until at least noon. Plenty of time. Daryl raised an eyebrow as his crew got started. You moving out or just renovating? I smiled. Something like that. They moved fast. Within the hour, my studio was packed. My desk, the chair I'd spent 2 weeks researching online, my monitors, even the prints I had mounted on the wall gone. The kitchen came next. My cast iron skillet, the good knives, the espresso machine I saved up for during that slow winter, all boxed with care. I even took my favorite mugs. By noon, the apartment looked unfamiliar. Empty in the way only a lived-in space can feel when it's stripped of intention. Emma's stuff was still there, of course. Her old futon, the chipped mirror she'd dragged from her last apartment, a couple of throw pillows she insisted were boho chic, but mostly just made the couch itchy. Everything I had brought into this place, everything that gave it warmth, was gone. I placed the last item in a box, the pothos I had grown from a single clipping 3 years ago. Still thriving, vines trailing like it didn't care about any of this drama. I tucked it gently between 2 folded towels and sealed the box. Then I set the note on the counter. Emma, I've terminated the lease, effective 30 days from today. I'll forward you the formal notice and a copy for Mark, since it seems he'll be staying. Take care. Liam. I didn't leave a "we need to talk." I didn't ask for a conversation or an explanation. She'd made her choice when she acted like mine didn't matter. Before I walked out, I took one last look around. The space echoed with emptiness, sunlight stretching across the now bare floor. It didn't feel like ours anymore. It didn't even feel like hers. It felt like a decision. I was sitting on Oliver's balcony, sipping a lukewarm beer when the first call came through. Emma. I let it ring until it stopped. Then it came again. And again. By the 4th time, I answered. Liam. What the actual? Her voice cracked with disbelief and fury. Where is everything? Gone, I said simply. The things I owned. Anyway. You emptied the whole apartment, she shouted. You took the espresso machine? The couch. My God, even the plants. They were mine, Em. You can't just do that. I didn't just do it, I said, keeping my voice steady. I followed the lease. 30 days notice. It's legal. You'll find a copy in your email. There was a pause on her end, the silence so sharp I could hear her breathing. You blindsided me, she said finally, voice small now. You didn't even talk to me. You didn't talk to me either, I said. You made a decision for both of us without asking. I just returned the favor. But Mark and I, we don't have anywhere to go. That's not my problem anymore. Another silence. Then a sharp exhale. You're heartless. No, I said. Just done. She hung up. Not even 5 minutes passed before my phone rang again. Unknown number. I knew before I answered. Yo, man, this is Mark, came the familiar voice, coated with fake calm. Look, I think we need to talk. I didn't say anything. Emma's really shaken up. The place is, like, hollow. You could have just told her you were pissed. Still, I said nothing. Come on, man. Let's be adults about this. You really gonna throw her life upside down over one guest? That made me laugh. Click. I hung up. Oliver stepped out then, holding another beer. That sounded fun, he smirked. I leaned back in the chair and took a long sip. Told you it'd go down like that. Oliver raised his bottle. To clean exits and hollow apartments. I clinked his bottle without a word, the satisfaction settling deep in my chest. For once, I wasn't stuck waiting to be heard. I'd said enough by walking out. By the next morning, my phone looked like it had survived a war. 15 missed calls. 27 messages. None from Emma. She was silent now. But her friends weren't. Hannah, dude, what you did to Emma was low. She was trying to be kind. Chelsea, you ghosted your girlfriend and left her homeless. That's not strength. That's cruelty. Trish, wow. Just wow. She let her ex stay on the couch. Not the end of the world. But I guess fragile egos can't handle that. There were more. They all sounded the same. Like a chorus of people who only knew Emma's side, or wanted to. Not a single one asked what actually happened. Emma was spinning her own story. Probably crying into wine glasses, saying I abandoned her during a hard time. She always had a gift for rewriting history. A few messages were more desperate. Emma, Liam, please, can we just talk? Then another. Emma, I never meant for it to blow up like this. You're making this into something it doesn't have to be. And then the one that made me laugh. Emma, fine. You win. I hope you're proud of yourself. You've ruined everything. I didn't reply to any of them. Instead, I changed the passwords to Netflix, Spotify, Hulu, the shared DoorDash account, even the calendar we used to sync plans. Bit by bit, I was taking myself back. That evening, Oliver and I sat on his back porch again, this time with takeout and whiskey. You really left nothing? He asked, mouthful of noodles. Just her old futon and a mirror she brought from her last place, I said. Oh, and some essential oil she thinks balance her chakras. He barked out a laugh. Savage. I shrugged. I'm not even mad anymore. It wasn't rage now. It was clarity. Cold, clean resolve. You can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else's mess warm. And I wasn't doing that anymore. 2 days after the chaos, I got a call from Mr. Reed. Our landlord. He was an older guy, former Navy, no nonsense, built like he could still bench press a refrigerator. He rarely called unless something was broken or someone had skipped rent. Liam, he said in that gravelly voice. Got your lease termination notice. Just confirming we're doing the walkthrough on the 30th. Yep, I said. All my stuff's already out. I figured, he said. Your email was tidy. Too tidy. He paused, then added, I also reached out to Emma. I could imagine her reaction, that mixture of panic and indignation she got whenever someone didn't fall for her everything's fine act. She didn't mention the guest situation when I called, he said. But I reminded her. Long-term visitors need written approval. I don't allow unauthorized tenants sleeping on couches. Makes this a boarding house. That's a violation. I could hear the edge in his voice. Mr. Reed had seen it all before. Couples falling apart, friends couch surfing into squatter territory, lease rules ignored because people thought emotions made them exceptions. She said Mark's only staying a week or two, I said. He chuckled. Then she'd better find him a new couch. I told her she's responsible for the lease until it's up, damages, cleaning, the whole thing. And after the 30 days? They both gotta go. No extensions. I don't deal in drama. We wrapped the call quickly. He wasn't one for long conversations. Later that day, Oliver and I swung by the apartment to grab a few last things I'd left behind, an old extension cord, a broken tripod I meant to toss. The air inside felt heavier now, like the place had turned on itself. Emma wasn't there, but her stuff was still scattered around, a pile of clothes in the corner, a half-eaten salad on the counter. The futon looked even sadder in the empty room. As I locked the door behind me, I felt a flicker of something. Not regret. Just a dull ache, like touching a bruise you forgot you had. But I didn't second-guess it. Mr. Reed was handling the rest. Emma and Mark were officially on borrowed time. 30 days passed quietly. Too quietly. I didn't hear much after the landlord's call. No more frantic texts, no more voice messages full of outrage or pleas. Just radio silence. Then, right on schedule, I got the confirmation email from Mr. Reed. Final walkthrough complete. Security deposit deductions processed. See attached statement. I clicked the file. My half of the deposit? Fully refunded. Emma's? Not so lucky. $175 deducted for cleaning fees. $85 for damage to a closet door. $50 for replacing the smoke detector Mark had apparently ripped off the ceiling during a bad night. I couldn't even picture it. And I didn't want to. I forwarded the refund to my new bank account. A fresh start, all the way down to the routing number. 2 hours later, Emma texted me. Emma, can we talk? Just for 5 minutes. I stared at it for a long time before replying. Me, what for? She replied almost instantly. Emma, I know we're not getting back together, but Mark and I found a studio. It's not great, and we're short on the deposit. I'm asking you, as someone who used to care about me. I closed my eyes, letting the bitterness settle like silt. I thought about the mornings I made her breakfast while she lay on the couch scrolling. About how she used to call me her calm in the storm. About the quiet way she had decided her ex deserved space in our home, and I didn't even deserve a vote. Then I opened the thread. Me, no. And then I blocked her number for good. I moved into a small place with big windows. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Every chair, every mug, every plant, all placed exactly where I wanted. No one moved in without asking. Oliver and I still met for drinks once a week. He joked that I looked lighter now. Not in weight, in spirit. He was right. I'd carried too much for too long. Now it was Emma's turn. And Mark's. They'd figure it out, eventually. Or not. Either way, I wasn't their safety net anymore.